What is the failure rate for an Etsy shop? Is success on Etsy really possible right now? You hear these unicorn stories about people making 10 grand in their first month, and you're wondering, is that even real? Maybe you're afraid to get started because you doubt if you can really do this. Can you really be successful, or is this just going to be a massive failure and waste of time? In today's video, I'm going to give you 7 ways to have a low failure rate on Etsy. And these 7 things are really going to lower the risk of potential failure. Some of you guys have submitted your shops to review, so I will be using your shops as examples. My name is Dylan Jarvis, and I'm an Etsy seller of 7 years. I've sold over $1.5 million in revenue on the platform. Yes, these are my actual stats from my shop, and that is over $1 million in profit. In my entire background is corporate e-commerce. I worked for big companies like Zappos and Zulily, and now I teach over 1,000 Etsy sellers just like you how to scale their businesses to multi-6 figures and beyond. So in this video, let's get into the 7 ways to lower your failure rate on Etsy. Number 1, Etsy shops with a low failure rate prioritize customers over products. If you are a product-centric business, you're always going to be chasing the next product. It can be exhausting and it can lead to really inconsistent sales, especially if you're just always chasing products and maybe the customer for those products is not the most profitable. Maybe they're lower income or have inconsistent spending habits. If you focus on serving those high-end customers with really consistent spending habits, then it's really going to lower your failure rate and your income is going to be much more consistent. So we choose our customers first and then we build our product mix out to serve them. If you're not sure how to do this, just reach out. We guide you through this in module 2, and myself and my team can help guide you through choosing those profitable customers to target. So the foundation of your business really depends on who you're selling to. And as Alex Hormozi says, sell to rich people, they pay better. You know, if you're trying to sell a $50 product and that $50 is 50% of their net worth, it's gonna be a lot harder to sell them on it to say someone with maybe $50,000 in their bank account. So we're gonna prioritize customers over products, and our product mix is going to constantly evolve to serve our best customers. So the question then becomes, how can we serve people who have a lot of money to spend in more ways? So here's an example of an Etsy shop, and it says boho chic gifts for 40+ women, fun, stylish, and curated, prints, gifts, and more. Okay, so it doesn't quite tell you who you're selling to. It says 40+, which, you know, it is kind of limiting. That alone, I probably wouldn't put an age on your shop. That's not exactly meaning that they're going to be profitable just because they're 40+. What I would be doing in looking at this product mix is quite a mix, right? We have a lot of floral, we have some pet stuff, some animal stuff, some products that really look like they're serving kind of nurseries in the baby market. But then we also have big geometric prints and chat GPT prompts and 4th of July stuff. So it is quite a mix. Guide to marriage proposals, guide to house flipping. So it is definitely a mix. And I think what's happening here is it's not targeting the right customer. So I see a lot of, you know, product-centric things, right? Some holiday things. The person might have thought they were trending, like chat GPT prompts, guides to flipping houses, but the shop isn't curated for a certain subset of customers. So what I would recommend for this person is to really look at maybe expensive retailers or brands, and I would take a look at the aesthetic and the design that they're putting out. Are any of the things in this shop something that you would find at one of those expensive retailers that your ideal customer is shopping at? Are any of these even in line with any of the brands they're interested in? I think that shop is really missing the mark with the customer piece. So a really easy way to do that is to look at expensive retailers and brands and to see what are they putting out? What is your customer being influenced by? We do not want to be looking to Etsy for those types of trends. Etsy is one of the last places to get trends. So I would be looking outside of Etsy for that inspiration. Here's another shop. Now this is all print on demand. It is 234 items, definitely a wide mix of items. We have a lot of t-shirts, looks like t-shirts and a few digital downloads. So for this, you know, the product mix is very much holiday. I see faith-based items. I see feminist items, Latina items. It is such a mix, and it's definitely not targeting a specific type of customer. The aesthetic is really all over the place. The product mix isn't such where someone could come to it and find a wide variety of things that they're drawn to. I think it's trying to be too many things to too many people, and we need to focus in on the customer piece again with this shop. All right, the next thing, shops with a low failure rate focus on the lifetime value of the customer. So these shops focus on serving their same customer through phases of their life instead of just having it be a transactional relationship, like a one-time $20 transaction. And when you focus on lifetime value of the customer, you want to serve them for at least 4 to 7 years through phases of their life. And you'll find that all the effort that you're putting into that customer experience is so worth it. And it's going to grow your revenue with a compounding compounding effect because those customers keep coming back and your customer base just keeps growing like a snowball. And when you look at driving up the lifetime value of your customer, it's actually going to give you a ton of product ideas because you just have to think about what phase of life they're in, what phases of life they're going into, and building your product mix to serve them along the way. So instead of trying to get a wide variety of brand new customers all the time, we're going to focus on serving our best customers in more ways and for a longer period of time. And Instagram is one of the great tools we use for doing that. So I want to show you a shop that does this really well. It's all pottery and they are serving their customers with like serving trays and things that could be wedding gifts, but also they have memorial items in the shop. So they have urns, right? So they're really serving their customers through literal phases of their life. In a shop like this with really nice pottery, these could be heirloom pieces. So you might want to think about what are the big life events, right? So you might have something for newlyweds. You might have something for first-time parents. You might have something for housewarming gifts. You might have something for grandparents. And then obviously we have the memorial category as well. So this is an example of a shop that's really serving customers through phases of their life with a really cohesive product mix. And now here's an example of a shop that I think could be doing this a lot better. So this shop is really targeting the children's market and they clearly are able to personalize. So maybe you would think of something, wedding related, something with the last name on it. You could also do the baby shower market. And then you could also do, older kids, bigger kids, maybe they're involved in sports or activities and they're personalizing other types of things. So this shop right now, they're serving customers for like a couple years. I really think they could expand this to serve their customers for a span of, even longer than 7 years. All right, the next thing is that shops with a low failure rate focus on having exceptional products. With the low barrier to entry with Etsy, I see a lot of shops putting out mediocre products. Maybe it's designs or a product mix that is just kind of slapped together. So I will say this, if you are fully exhausting all of the sprinting strategies that we use to get traction in a shop and you are still not getting any sales, then it is usually a problem with the product. And it could be the product or the design itself. Sometimes when we are in our shops every day for so long, we're in the designs, right? We're really in the weeds. It is hard to look at things from an objective standpoint. And maybe sometimes we start to feel like this is looking pretty good. The truth might be we have a long ways to go. So what I recommend is really focusing on what I call the value proposition of an item. And we need to look at the value proposition of our listing in search results because that's the only thing that matters. So the value proposition in search results is simply a combination of the main listing photo and the price. And if that perceived value proposition is not clearly better than all the competitors around it, then you're likely going to have a struggle. And remember, no matter how long you've been doing this, there are always ways to improve your listings and your designs. So while you might think it actually looks great, it might not be what is aligning with your customer and what they are looking for. And the hard truth is that sometimes you might spend dozens of hours trying to learn Photoshop, trying to learn Canva, and trying to get that, graphic design part down. But I found that sometimes people just don't quite have the eye for it. So in that case, I would recommend outsourcing the design part. And there are people all over the world who would do this for you at a very minimal cost. So maybe you could do something like buy a few designs and have it be editable. So you can edit the colors on it. So they make the core design and you can just change out colors to make multiple variations of that same design. And you can be the one to do a variety of mock-ups with that one design. So if you do this, you could literally buy one design and get like 20 listings out of it. So it is well worth the cost. Let's look at an example. So with this shop, I did want to take a look at the product mix and I did notice, I'm sorting by lowest price. I'm trying to see what loss leaders are in the mix. And I am noticing that the quality of the loss leaders is very low. So loss leaders are really designed to be something that you sell a lot of, right? It has to be a really great listing and it's not going to be something that's really driving up your revenue, but it is something that is meant to drive up your order number. So you really want these to work for you and to have mass appeal. But if the quality of your loss leader listings is super low, no matter what you price it at, even if it's $1, no one's going to buy it. Number one, I would definitely improve the quality of the loss leader listings. With the number of sales that this shop has, I would be expanding the product mix with at least like 15 to 20 more loss leaders, and I would make them stellar listings. Now, in terms of the rest of the shop and the quality of the designs and the listings, we want to have exceptional products, exceptional listings. I'm looking on the homepage and I'm seeing some of the mock-ups, they're not high quality. Some of the mock-ups just are not going to be getting clicks. And then on the other hand, some of the mock-ups are great, especially some of the women's t-shirts. But the problem here is out of 161 listings, I haven't looked at everything, but potentially about half of them are poor quality mock-ups or designs. And if the mock-up looks bad, it makes the design look bad. So if you put a great design on a bad mock-up or a bad listing photo, it's not going to take off. So with that shop, I would definitely trim the fat and rework every listing that does not have an exceptional design or mock-up. All right, the next way to not fail is to get out of your own way. So I know we take a lot of pride in our work, in our listings, in our time. But when you have no sales and no proof of concept on anything in your shop, then you have no grounds to be at the top of the pricing spectrum. And I highly recommend looking at the really big picture, long-term view of your shop. The pricing you start with is not going to be the pricing you have 6 months from now or 6 years from now. You need different pricing strategies for different stages of your business and different stages of a listing's life cycle. So here's an example of a shop. Now it looks like a lot of these listings might not be moving. And I'm noticing that all the listings are currently at full price. Maybe a lot of these listings are newer and they just aren't taking off. This is not the pricing strategy that I would have in place. Even though, this is a handmade category shop, it probably took them a lot of time to make these. But for the first, 20 sales per listing, I really would rethink the current pricing strategy. It's going to take the shop 10 times longer to get traction with this current pricing strategy. So if you're thinking, I put all this time into my listings, I put all these hours into this digital product, I'm not going to give it away for $1. Look at the time horizon. Do you want to be the best seller? Do you want to be the market leader? Or are you okay with it taking a year to get 10 sales? It's a choice. Etsy is saturated now and you have to do different things now on Etsy than you had to do 4 or 5 years ago. So to have a lower failure rate, get out of your own way and just get the sales. The next way to lower your failure rate on Etsy is to go 100% instead of going halfway. I've noticed with a lot of newer shops or people who are wanting to start Etsy shops that they are just kind of stuck in that analysis paralysis. They don't know where to go next, so they're not going anywhere. That fear of failure and not knowing what to do is paralyzing them, so they don't do anything. Maybe you're coming up with some concepts, maybe you've even created some designs, but nothing is up in your shop. And the only way to fail with Etsy is by not 100% going for it and only going halfway. So think about the worst case scenario. Let's say you try Etsy and you don't get the expected outcome. Well, you've still learned a new skill, you've tried something new, and you've gained that education and that skill set. So if you completely miss out on an experience altogether, that is much worse than trying and maybe not getting the level of the expected outcome that you wanted. So instead of letting that fear of failure paralyze you, I recommend letting that fuel you to take immediate action, because the only real failure is inaction. The next way to lower your failure rate is to never stop testing and trying. As soon as you stop testing and trying and pushing forward, you're gonna start going backwards. So never ever get complacent, especially once you have a newer shop. I challenge you to always find ways to make it a fresh presentation. And not only will this make you a market leader, but it's going to keep you as a market leader. And honestly, becoming a market leader, getting to the top of search results on Etsy, it's not that difficult, but staying there, that's the difficult part. And it's usually because people notice you and they're trying to do what you do in a better or different way. So you've got to constantly be pushing and evolving. I recommend revisiting your marketing and repackaging your listings in a new way. So here is a shop that is trying out gift boxes, right? So you see all these gift boxes, they're all pictured in pretty much the exact same way. Well, what if these gift boxes would do twice as good if maybe it was different coloring, or maybe if it was presented or merchandised in a different way? So if you are maybe known for one type of product, I highly recommend continuing to evolve how you're presenting it. Instead of just having one way that you show something, have 10 different ways, 10 different varieties, because you always want to be pushing forward and seeing what customers best respond to. Otherwise, you're only really giving yourself one chance. And the next thing that shops with the lowest failure rate have is the longest time horizon. The shops with the lowest failure rate, they're not trying to get rich quick. These are some of the most patient people and some of the most diligent and consistent shop owners. A short time horizon and impatience is, I think, one of the biggest reasons that Etsy shops fail. They want to get rich quick in 2 weeks. They want that SEO to work in 2 days. When it doesn't, when they don't, they get frustrated and they swing the pendulum, and they keep swinging the pendulum, and they start and stop strategies way too fast over and over again. And when you constantly do that, when you constantly start and stop strategies, it doesn't give any of the strategies time to actually take hold and start working. So it's like going on a new type of diet every 3 days. You never actually get a chance to see what the results are. Even if one of those diets would have been the one that worked for you, you're never gonna know. So if you look at your business long-term and think about the long game, you're gonna see much better results. Another thing I wanna say here is, if you don't have the financial runway to have patience with Etsy and the results, then I wouldn't go all in on Etsy until you have the financial means to exercise patience. questions. If you are ready to take action and get some guidance in your Etsy shop, just reach out. We're doing this for over 1,100 Etsy shops. You can just schedule a free call with us with the link below, and then we can just show you how we work with other shops and see if it's something that you're interested in. If you want to submit your shop for a future video, please do these 3 things. 1, like the video. 2, subscribe. And then 3, leave a comment with the name of your shop. Don't put the link to your shop. Put the name of your shop in the comments of this video, and we will pull from those to use in future videos. If you like videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.